This video is made for adult collectors because you pretty much have to be an adult to know who these characters are. Also, Xaaron's here. Oh, dropped him on my tablet. Who would have thought in a million years we would have gotten these two as toys? Because I didn't. I knew a little bit about Xaaron before this. I think it's pronounced Xaaron. I'm just gonna keep saying that. But I knew nothing about Flame till this got announced. But this pack is definitely my second favorite of the whole comic set. It's really good. This is Flame and Emirate Xaaron, and they are both retools that you really wouldn't expect. Xaaron is a reflector retool and frame? Yes, picture frame. Flame is a Gamer Edition Megatron retool. That came out of nowhere for me. But these two are very nice, and the interesting choices they made on these molds makes me like them more than their original versions. Xaaron is reflector with some new 5mm bits on him because he never transformed in the original comics. I believe it's like he hasn't done it in a while, so he would just crumble if he did. So they made this in such a way that you can pull all the alt mode parts off if you want a more comic accurate non-transforming look. That's sick. Or you can just add the bits on like I do and make him a tank. That's really cool too. And I like this shade of yellow with the interesting cell shading that doesn't feel too out of place and also isn't egregious. But it's just enough, and it works very well with that goldish yellow they use. And with the kibble bits off, he looks pretty great, but like I said, I'm leaving them on. And the head sculpt looks awesome. 6-0 Transformer. Flame, though, this is such a nice retool. I like these colors so much more. The hot roddy colors of the yellow, red, and orange, the bits of gray work very well too because they're subtle enough to feel like a very small accent color, even though it's just unpainted palm. The cell shading is the same as Xaaron's, not too egregious and in your face, but it still works. He has the most shit-eating grin, and it fits so well. I also love the way the head sculpt looks with the crest and the layers going on it. He wears the fusion cannon like Megatron, and he does have a detachable arm, which means you can give a fully red arm to Megatron to create the aligned Liege Maximo arm thing that he had in Prime, even if the other arm's already red. Now the tabs. The tabs on the knees are still there. Now the story behind this is, well, I don't know. I figured I'd ask rather than just speculate, so I asked Evan from Hasbro, who I believe worked on Flame and Xaaron, and he doesn't actually know because he didn't design the original Megatron. Damn. I thought he designed Megatron. That's me just not reading the wiki and seeing that it wasn't him, it was Sam. So, sorry, Evan, for bothering you randomly about that, but thanks for answering, I appreciate it. So if you're familiar with these molds, you obviously know how this works, but I haven't talked about this one in a while. I've never talked about this one, so, you know, articulation. So the reflector mold, the head is on a ball joint, but it moves very subtly left and right, or tilt, I should say. It can rotate. And then for up and down, there's a plate it's on, so we can actually look up that far, which is really nice. If you remove this, you can, you know, break his neck. These shoulders can do a full 360 degrees. They go out, and I've never really been a fan of how low the shoulders move on this. I've always thought that looks weird, but that is just me. Bicep rotation, you have a nice double jointed elbow, nothing at the wrist. You have a, whoop, that fell off. You have a waist joint. Don't flick it off back here. That's a good idea. Hips can go forward, back, in and out. Thigh rotation. You have 90 degrees of bend at the knee. I do wish these sat a bit more securely. Like maybe if they utilized that tab, but then you'd be like, how would it do it on this side? There's no tab. And then you have ankle tilt and the toes. There it goes again. And the toes can move down. I swear this doesn't fall off all the time. It's just right now because the camera is on. But he's fun. He's cool. I don't really pose him too much though because it's Xaaron, so I just kind of always have him standing there. I mean, he does do some dynamic things in the comics, but from my recollection, I just remember him just standing there a lot. Flame though is really cool because he's the Gamer Edition Megatron mold. So you've got head on a ball joint. It can tilt a little bit more. You got full 360 degrees. Shoulders can do a full 360. They can go in and out. You have a bicep rotation. You have a bend here at the elbow, and then you have a bend up here as well. That's more for transformation, but you do have it if you want to use it. However, the single joint does bend all the way anyways, that I don't really see the need to use that elbow joint personally.
But this does like thoop into place. So sometimes, as you saw there, when you go to bend it, you end up moving the transformation hinge and not the elbow, which is a tiny bit annoying, but it's not terrible. Nothing at the wrist. He does have a waist joint, and just like Gamer Megatron, it does sort of wobble at the top a little bit. Not side to side, because this dude would wobble forward and back and side to side, but this one is just forward and back. It doesn't really do the side to side thing, so there is that. I don't know. It's just the mushroom peg screws here. I might have to tighten them. Hips are very stiff. They can go forward all the way. It can go back all the way. They can go in and out. You have thigh rotation, 90 degrees of bend at the, or more than 90 degrees of bend at the knee if you cut that thing off. I have seen some people say you just open these up and then feed this into there. You can do that if you don't want to clip the tabs, but I think that looks hideous, so I'm not going to do that. And then the ankles can go down, they can go up, and he does have a little bit of ankle tilt. Not a ton, but it is there, and it is usable. It is useful, so there is that. And even though the arms are asymmetrical, they work the exact same way. But yeah, they're fun. They're your standard Voyager and Deluxe, but they are fun. I like them. God, his hips are so stiff.
I dig these. I wish I could show the boxes next to each other, but Grimlock is still stuck at DHL. Actually, at the time of writing this, he was stuck at DHL. At the time of recording this, they've expedited my shipping finally, and it's supposed to be here literally any minute now. So, yay.
Now alt mode time. We'll start with Xaaron, because he is very interesting. So, as I'd mentioned earlier, he was designed in such a way that you can take all of these bits off, because he never actually transforms in the comics because he hasn't done it in a while or something, and it would like seriously damage him if he did. I think that's how the story goes. But he looks like this. And so you can have this and not transform it. It still does the cube, but you can't actually plug reflector lenses onto the front because he doesn't have that connection point anymore. But you can plug him into the side of the camera. I'm not going to bother with camera. I'm just going to do the jet mode. So just like the reflector mold, you get these little landing struts folded out. You close up the feet, fold that up, rotate this 180 degrees. Then you want to fold the hands in, fold the head in. Now the head has a crest, right? Unlike the reflector mold. So the head is a little bit bigger, I think. And it does sit in here, but it can, if you've sat it in like this and then push it like that, you can see the crest gets stuck underneath here. So what I recommend doing, if that does happen, don't pull it out because you're going to scratch the paint on the head. Push this down and then rotate it up, and that allows it to clear this section. So just make sure you do that so you don't scratch the paint. Once you get the head folded up, you then take the arms and rotate them and peg them in, rotate, peg them in, and then you take the chest out. Now my figure, this doesn't like to stay pegged in. This likes to pop out quite a bit, and it's only on mine, apparently. I've asked several of my friends who have this toy, and they don't have this problem, so that's just a me thing, which is unfortunate. And that's the reflector sort of spaceship-looking thing, or at least this version of it. Then you take these pieces, and you plug them into here, and here, to give him tank treads. Then you take the turret, and you put it together, and then you plug that in back here. And now you have the reflector mold as a tank. That's really creative. I like that. I like how they give you the option of like comic accurate, or you can just plug parts on if you want a vehicle. That's really cool. I dig that. This is just, let's get over here. This is just Megatron, but they've added a couple of extra stability things in the alt mode, which is kind of neat. So to start with, take the cannon off. Then we are going to straighten the arms out and fold up each hand into the wrist. There we go. Then we are going to take the chest section and pull it down. And then take the back section, rotate that, bring that up, get out of shot. Then, which arm goes back? This arm goes back. So this goes back here. Also, by the way, the arm does have a place to store in robot mode. You can just plug it into there if you have detached it, if you want to attach Gamer Edition weapons to it. But you do that. You bring this down, and that will clip into place and lock the waist joint in. Then you bring this around, and we will fold the arm up and peg it into these pegs here. And it has to be done at a very interesting angle to get all of this lined up. There we go. And then fold that flat. And that's basically the bottom of the tank done. Now we're going to open this up, fold up the feet, and push them in whilst pushing this section out. Come on. There we go. And fold the treads out while you're at it. You rotate these 90 degrees. And then this is where the new bit comes in, because Megatron doesn't have tabs on his thighs, but Flame does. And so they actually peg into the chest. There are little holes, and you can peg them into the chest here and get this completely secured into place. Then you can fold these around and peg them together here. This can be a little bit annoying because there's like 3 different places it has to connect, so you just have to make sure everything is lined up properly. And there you go. But yeah, there's these little tiny tabs in here that hold the chest plate on and everything back here more into place, so it's even more solid, and then you can just plug the cannon in and call it a day.
Both are tanks, and that's honestly pretty cool. They got the reflector mold into a tank, and that's actually really neat the way that they pulled this off. The Gamer Megatron mold looks so friggin' nice in these colors though, like so nice. It's so vibrant, and it feels like the details pop way more when you get up close on here than they did on the original Megatron. Like, look at these two. The orange looks so much better. My Xaaron's cockpit, though, like I said, does not like to stay tabbed in for some reason, but everyone else's just doesn't have that problem, so I just need to sand them down. That's fine. But I really like how these two turned out, and I highly recommend them if you know the characters. They're so obscure, but they are very cool. If you like the way these look or like these characters, then I would totally get them. I got them purely because I like the way they look. I know of the characters, I don't know them very well, but I thought they looked neat and I wanted to complete the comic thingy. So I got them. Just clip those tabs off. But yeah, that's my look at Emirate, Xaaron, and Flame from the Comic Edition subline. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Hasbro, please keep making more Comic Edition toys. These are great. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.